has made it very clear that under whatever circumstances, we should keep our heads high. Keep our heads high. Refuse to be told that this is Nigeria, meaning this is a place where nothing works. We should refuse to agree that this is a country where certificates are forged and it is okay. We should refuse to accept a situation where elections are rigged and you are told to go to court. These things have consequence. These things have consequence. Jesus says, you shall know the truth, and the truth will make you free. You can't run a nation well if we do not respect the truth. If we keep pretending that we can play games, cut corners, bring in brilliant lawyers to turn black to white and white to black, the reality will still be there. And right now we are still in the midst of the election. And it is not about the politicians or the candidates. It's about us, about Nigerians. It is we who went to vote. And if we do not have good election, you can't have a government that enjoys our confidence and our trust. Even angels cannot rule a nation where there is no trust. So whoever claims to be ruling us now should know that we need to have the trust of the people. The question before us is, how do we manage that the people may have trust in their government? A lot has to be done by those who claim to be ruling us, those who say we have elected them. They cannot just sit there and expect that just things will work normally. What will they do? I don't know. But if they ask my suggestion, I will say they should accept the reality on ground. Accept that they have a heavy trust deficit. And nothing wrong with admitting that things didn't go so well. When I hear Professor Mahmoud on television, even yesterday, telling us that everything went perfectly well in January, I shed tears. He knows he was not telling the truth. If we don't tell the truth, we will not move forward. I'm a religious person, and I keep praying to God to forgive us and to show us the truth. Because if we tell the truth, things will move fast. Nigerians are wonderful. And I still hope that things will move fast. Whatever judges may decide, whatever courts may say, at the end of the day, the truth will make us free.
Professor Mahmoud don't go disgrace himself for Supreme Court. Now so he can go talk, say, make the Supreme Court make they dismiss article application seeking to present TinUBu's academic records. Where he know clearly say the genesis of the whole thing, na him, Yakubu, Mahmoud, na he start am. My country people. This matter where they bring come, it go hot. So right now, we dey hear say when TinUBu lawyer go find out from the FBI the content of the document where they want release. Now there, TinUBu lawyer can carry TinUBu sit down. He can't tell am say, come, you need to file an appeal immediately to stop them from releasing this record, because if they release them, hey, everywhere go gas. Right now, TinUBu don't change the narrative and wait that they argue right now for court. Now be say FBI and IRS no get TinUBu interest for mind. Right there, article where they request for the document, they request them based on say he want use them to punish TinUBu, and which they don't they change the law, say this kind thing na infringement of rights. So that they base their argument on the fact say if FBI or IRS want release those documents, make them not release the sensitive one wey e no make sense or wey no go aid the court judgment. So the appeal wey Tinubu dey make right now, na be say make court give am 30 days wey dem want to review the document, make dem for select the sensitive one come out from inside, make e no go into the internet space. And by so doing, the Supreme Court go don give their final verdict, then everybody go forget about this whole on the thing. Other hand, Atiku and Obil appeal against Tinubu. Supreme Court reverses judgment drama over new evidence. The Supreme Court says that CSU did not issue a letter denouncing Tinubu's certificates. For Atiku new evidence, Supreme Court is not convinced it will be useful. Then the judges further asked if CSU issued any letter denouncing Tinubu's certificates. Atiku lawyer responded in negative. They asked if the statement of CSU registrar was taken inside courtroom, and the answer is also no. So the panel is not going to accept any new evidences from Atiku. On the contrary, the Supreme Court has said that there are conflicting letters from the Chicago State University on President Bola Tinubu's certificate. Speaking at the hearing of the appeal filed by PDP Atiku Abubakar, Justice John OKoRo, who is the chairman of the 7-member panel, mentioned that the court has 2 conflicting letters before it. Recall that on September 6, 2023, the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal has struck out the appeal of Atiku and Peter Obi of Labour Party. Both men headed for the apex court, with Atiku asking to file extra evidence against Tinubu on alleged forgery. Atiku had sought Tinubu's academic record from Chicago State University so as to prove his allegations that the president submitted forged documents to INEC. However, by the time the documents were released, the 180-day stationary period within which an election petition should be filed and determined had elapsed. Atiku, however, asked the court to grant his appeal to tender fresh evidence, given the nature of the issue. Tinubu kicked against this, saying granting such would amount to abuse of court process. Atiku predicated his plan on the grounds that presenting forged documents by any candidate, especially by one for the highest office in the land, is a grave constitutional issue that must not be encouraged. However, President Tinubu kicked, arguing that the issue is a pre-election matter amongst others, and subsequently prayed the court to deny the grant of the application. While faulting Tinubu, Atiku submitted the issues of merit ought not to be determined or pronounced upon the interlocutory stage. Atiku also pointed out that the presentation of a forged certificate disqualifies a candidate for all time, no matter when presented. The judge further said that criminal matters have to be proved beyond reasonable doubt. On the contrary, the judge added that there are 2 conflicting letters from the CSU, one authenticating the president's certificate and another discrediting it. Which do we rely on? He asked. In my own opinion, I feel that this is not the question the judges should be asking. They should be asking the same question Nadeko and every other Nigerian is asking. The question is, what is Bola Ahmed Tinubu's true identity? Who is Bola Tinubu? Why did he hire lawyers to prevent the release of his document if truly he graduated from the school? Who issued the diploma, and where did Mr. or Mrs. Bola A. TinUBu got the diploma from? How come his date of birth are different on the so-called CSC certificate and that is submitted to INEC? These are the questions the judges are supposed to be asking. Don't tell me it's coincidence that the Supreme Court's hearing scheduled for 23rd of October collided with the legal case against Process and Industrial Developments, the P&ID Limited, in the United Kingdom courts. So in my own opinion, APC knows that internet is going to catch fire and a lot of bloggers are going to be coming out with different opinion. So they brought out this one to mix up the reaction because they know definitely that they are going to win this case. It is a win-win. They know it's going to be a win-win. So that was why they strategically said the court proceeding is going to begin on the 23rd, the same day that was scheduled for the P&ID, because they know that this is a big fish for Nigeria if they win this case. So everything is going to come together and people are going to have a mixed feeling and reaction towards it. My country people, just going to reach our ears say, I didn't say this P and this ID win this case. Hey, Nigeria for your dag, you're off. In fact, to just come on Nigeria, come on for list of countries for the map. But thank God, say we still win the case. Now, what is this P and this ID? What was it all about? What it be? A lot of people don't really understand what this thing stand for. So I go let this video with the background play. We could understand what this P and this ID be. Say Adibi say they win. Hey, my people, Nigeria for know your big country. Do you come out our passport, come out our map, come out everything. You go you're off. But thank God say we win. Someone I watch this video, wanna get an overview of waiting this P and this ID be my country. So on a Bod TV board, we will analyze every matter with the come with the very, very crucial. Now be this one. Una do it. Una like, share, and subscribe.
Of the Commercial Court of England and Wales ruled in favor of Nigeria in the enforcement of a 11 billion process and industrial development P&ID limited arbitration award, which means that Nigeria has narrowly escaped paying that sum of money, 11 billion US dollars. Where can we get that money from? And it's not a joke. When this kind of judgment comes, you will pay. So let's get a sense, because this is all legal matters. And did we get into this trouble in the first place? How can the Nigerian government get into a contract with a fraudulent company in a fraudulent way, in a fraudulent award? Mr. Biodun Owonikoko, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, joins us live here to discuss these issues and what has become a major legal event in Nigeria's legal stories. Thank you so much indeed for coming tonight.
It's my pleasure, Sheon.
It's a long
relief.
How would you describe it?
Well, I think UK has given us a lifeline to let us breathe, like Mr. President will say. The first time this news broke, I was shocked. It was my 18-year-old daughter from London that called me and said, Daddy, how did this happen? Who are the lawyers of Nigeria that this... So we are going to all be... He said, we are going to have to pay debt the rest of our life. My daughter was saying that. She could see that this debt was not going to be paid by us. It's by them. So thank goodness that rule of law rescued Nigeria. In the sense that I read a bit of the judgments of the UK Commercial Court. And we need to be realistic. A number of things that happened that culminated in this liability essentially were blamable on our own Nigerian system. Because I could see, regardless of what you could say about the profile of that company, I could see consistently they have been doing business with Nigerian government institutions for almost 20 years. Critical contracts with Nigerian police, Nigerian army, all of them were detailed in that judgment, dating back to 1992, 90, whatever, in millions and millions of dollars. So that they were able eventually to also get this contract and railroad government to signing up and commit Nigerian government when even all the parameters to ensure that the public project was implementable were not yet in place. What was this about? About gas supply for the project.
In Calabar.
It was the critical element in the entire process. If it did not exist, there was no basis to go into any contract. There were 3 or 4 failed attempts to access some private oil operators to access gas. Folawiyo was there, petroleum company, Chevron. There was a time Ajib, I saw all of them, ExxonMobil. It was when they could not find their way through this company that they decided to exploit the government option as the overall owner of gas resources in Nigeria. But then there was pressure for government to deliver on this policy on gas, and people were exploiting that. A lot of internal government officials seem to have compromised the interests of the sovereign nation to put us in this bind. So it's really sad.
So I like us to, because there's a lot of lessons that we need to learn as a people and as individuals, of course, and what would have been a disaster. If that judgment was against Nigeria, if it came against Nigeria, what do you think would have happened?
Well, Nigeria will probably cease to be a going concern economically. Human beings will be here, land will be there, but it will not be a going concern. Already, without that liability, we can see how we are struggling to get sufficient forex to even do the normal international trade that our companies in Nigeria are engaging, because the forex challenge is there. If we were to confront this amount of money, which would then be enforceable because they had gone to enforce in England. Don't forget that I read in the judgment that the initial, in fact, they did something. They were going to put the law applicable to be foreign law and also the venue to be foreign. There was a negotiation to now make it Nigerian law, but London as seat of arbitration. That actually probably saved. If the matter had been in Nigeria, I'm not even sure we'll have gotten a favorable judgment that has come in our favor in England. There are so many dodgy debts now that the Nigerian government is carrying in its books, obtained from Nigerian courts. Collusive judgments where people will go and compromise. All sorts, running into trillions.
And the agencies of government are also involved. They are in this debt, and it's all over the place.
In fact, some of them are rider claims, derivative claims from people who claim to have played a role to facilitate those debts being incurred. They are even suing on it, and our courts are giving them judgment.
Yeah, the federal government has come out to say there are a lot of judgment debts that the federal government has incurred that they need to start clearing. And you look at it, how did we get here? The Office of the Attorney General, over the years, and the Minister of Justice, what are they doing to ensure that the nation is insulated? Because what these companies had done was to ensure that if this award implementation was to happen, we would have been in trouble because we have debts, foreign debts that we're servicing. We had foreign investment that we're looking at. Most of our investments in Nigeria are dependent on foreign...
So, do you want me to surprise you?
Please, go ahead, sir.
The bulk of foreign Nigerian debts owed by government through court orders arose from Nigeria receiving debt bailout from international creditors. That's what they call Paris Club debt. People now generate new debt out of Paris Club debt, claiming that some monies were not properly reconciled and monies were owed to some arms of government, and people came up as consultants, claiming that they have found debts, and then assisting them through governors' forum, whatever, to recover money. Only last year or early this year, Supreme Court came down heavily that debt owed to state authorities cannot be subject of negotiation by some consultants. These are statutory debt, revenue of public revenue. What role are you playing? So go and sue the local government that you claim you recover for, or go and sue the state government, not some kind of governor's forum or whatever. Now, imagine how much of that. I know there's upwards of almost $500 million is subject of one of these debts that people are claiming this is their own commission for assisting institutions to recover what they claim, unclaimed debt. But that misunderstands me. I think what is important is for us to draw the right lesson from this judgment. I identified 3. In that judgment itself, there are about 11 of those kind of gas contracts entered into in 2010. This one is one. Yes. This is the only one that we know has become... Have
we exited those ones?
Well, I don't know. That's a job for...
There might be some troubles
because maybe those ones are still looking for a way out. So if there are 10 of those contracts and none of them I'm aware is already functioning, there might be issues there. That's number 1. Number two is this. How come it took Nigeria this terrible development for us to appreciate that there are weaknesses in how we draft agreement with international business entities where we don't protect our own interest? And I believe that the President Attorney General of the Federation is one of the things he has identified that he wants to address. This issue of debt that is piled up and contracts that are skewed against Nigeria, and we end up having to be begging our way out of binds that the civil service and the technical people in government plunge the country into. We need to review that. We should review our contract documentation in terms of heavy investment projects so that even if we need international consultants to assist us, and we need to come up with a template that can assist all government agencies to know that if you are going to a contract of this nature, these are the signals that you must identify and ensure that the clauses are so wide, so tightly drafted that we can at least predict the outcome of what we are signing.
Unfortunately, in all of these international conventions and international laws, there are a lot of gaps and loopholes that have now, they will dress it for you, such that you don't know that those holes are there until you fall into them. Well, and unfortunately, I mean, like you have mentioned, this consultant, if need be, get them so that you don't have to incur this kind of, this is a huge embarrassment to our nation.
Beyond that, there is a positive. The outcome of this judgment will have been impossible if not for the role played by the EFCC, the local investigation agencies. If you read that judgment, a lot came out of discoveries that the court ordered. And P&ID had to reveal so many information, electronic format, documents, from which Nigeria was able to extract sufficient evidence to sustain their case that there was bribery, there was corruption, and all whatnot. If that were to be in Nigeria, and I'm sure you're aware of things about discoveries going on now, we don't make enough use of those kind of facilities in investigation. And EFCC, while the case was on, was able to even make arrests, detain, and start prosecuting, even get conviction, some of which became available and useful to establish a convincing case of bribery. Another thing I saw in the judgment, which we also have to look at, is that when it came to the issue of determining the question of dishonesty, the court in England decided that dishonesty did not have to be proved beyond reasonable doubt. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, anything that
criminal
appears to look real and they say you must prove beyond reasonable doubt, there's no way you can fight corruption through the court system if almost everything that have a stinge of criminality must be proved beyond reasonable doubt. If that was to be the position in England, we probably would not be out of the woods by now. So we also have to go and look at our laws. It's not only about just prosecuting. Look for things that you can do that will ensure people know that things they compromise can be easily detected. And if it's not the present regime that gives you that cover, a new regime can come and then they will be exposed.
Mr. WiTh, I need to also let a lot of Nigerians who are watching today to also understand some of the background activities that happened. We understand, and I obtained an information from some circles, that the former Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, was instrumental in identifying, maybe because a professor of law and a senior advocate, he was able to identify it. Kudos to him. And the president at the time, Muhammadu Buhari, who also helped, because if the president had looked away, there would have been a problem. His vice raised an alarm, alerted the nation about this. The president took it upon himself and asked the Attorney General, Abubakar Malami, to rise up to the occasion and make sure, kudos to Abubakar Malami and Muhammadu Buhari. Again, the FCC that you mentioned had done a lot of jobs also locally, gathered evidence that were very sufficient for us to be able to prosecute and get this kind of judgment. I think is also, as we're looking at the history and the background to this, to also mention these personalities that were involved up until this moment. And kudos to all of them that have done our nation proud today in making sure that this has not become an albatross that we'll carry for the rest of our lives as a country.
This is Bod TV Bod. In case the first time you come here, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more uploads.